Hi, my name is Angie and welcome to the Warehouse 421 experience. Today I'm going to be teaching basics of sewing from my home studio because, as you know, we're all staying home. I hope you're staying home and keeping safe. So today the class is going to be about learning the different types of seams, different methods, and what they're used for and what relevant fabrics they're used for. So let's get started. So before we get started, I'm just going to show you a few of the things that we need for this class. All right, so first you're going to need some pins, a bobbin case, an unpicker, a clear bobbin, and a spool of thread. I recommend using a different color from what fabric we're going to be using just so that you can see what you're doing. All right, so first we're going to start with spinning the bobbin. So just bring your thread out. Every machine is a little bit different, but just follow the numbers that you have. Mine goes this way. And then place your bobbin into place. And do a few rotations with your thread. Hold your thread so that you can make sure that it's actually spinning into place. And then clip it so that it actually spins the bobbin and not the needle. And then from there, just... Okay, and once it's done, just take it out. And you can cut that thread. And now we're gonna rethread the whole machine so that it goes into the needle. Okay, so now we're gonna thread the machine. All machines are a little bit different, but they mostly go along the same lines. So just follow the numbers that you have. Okay, so mine's gonna go like this. And then we go down and you have to go all the way around and under this one right here. And then up. And then there will be a metal bit right here. If it's sunken down, use the dial over here to bring it up and always move this towards you. So move it all the way until you can see it all the way up here, and then take your thread and pass it back behind it and down. And then you're gonna go all the way into that part right here, and you wanna just pass that thread back behind this. And then you're gonna go through the needle and it goes front to back. All right, and then you can use the lever in the back over here to lift the foot. So there's a lever in the back over here and you use that to lift the foot. And then just take the thread and pass it under the foot and pull it back. And then we're gonna open up the bottom of the machine over here to put the bobbin in. So you're gonna grab your bobbin case and the bobbin that we just spun, and we're gonna put the bobbin into the bobbin case. And the way to do that is to enter it this way, so that the thread is going in the same direction as all of these grooves. And then you're gonna grab your thread, hold the bobbin case into place, grab the thread, pass it through this very small slit, and pull it under and out. And then hold it like this. And then now we have to put this into the machine. So this thing right here has to align with the same one inside the machine. And put it and make sure that it clicks. And once that's done, grab the top thread, use your dial. So move the dial towards you to pick up the bottom thread. You're gonna see the thread come round and then pull the top thread up and then just bring out your bottom thread, and now you've picked that up. And then you can close it and close your machine. And now you're ready to get started. Okay, so we're gonna line it up with that first line, the 1 centimeter. And use the back lever to drop down the foot. So we're gonna go a few stitches forward and then we need to back tack. So we're gonna use this lever over here to back tack. It might look a bit different on your machine, but it will probably be something along the same lines. So we're gonna go forward and then back. And then forward again, and then just continue from there and try and keep going in straight lines. And then back tack again and come off the machine. I have a blade on the side of my machine, but if not, just use your cutter. So keep going in straight lines. Again, you want to line up the stitch with the one that you have there, back tack, and keep going. Cool, so feel free to pause the video and practice as long as you need until you get them all in straight lines. Next, we're gonna practice a spiral stitch. So I want you to just take a pen, draw a small circle, and then we're gonna come back to the machine. So I'm gonna draw a little circle. So now we're gonna practice going in a spiral. So start at one point, and then the further we go, we're gonna keep going in consecutive circles, concentric circles. Okay, so go from here, drop your needle down. No need to back tack here. Okay, this is to practice going in curved lines. So you may need to stop. Anytime that you stop, you need to make sure that the needle is down by using your dial to put it down. And then you can lift the foot up, pivot slightly, come back down, and go really slowly with this. And then you can take it out. So it should be almost a circle. And make sure that you're kind of going in even lines. Okay, so now we're gonna do a plain open seam. So you're gonna align two pieces of fabric again, line it up with that first line for 1 centimeter, bring your foot down, stitches forward, back tack, and then go. So you just wanna stitch a 1 centimeter line along the edge. Okay, so this is a plain open seam, so you just want to open up the fabric, open up the seam allowance and press it. So ideally when you're actually making a garment, you would iron this open, but that is your plain open seam. So this would either be used to finish it with overlocking or binding, or on the lining of a jacket, you don't have to finish it at all, you can just leave it as is. This is a nice seam for reducing bulk. Okay, so the next seam that we're going to do is the French seam. So again, grab a couple more pieces of fabric. And for this one, you have a total of 1 centimeter seam allowance, but we're going to stitch it on 2 goes. We're also going to align the wrong side of the fabric to the wrong side, as opposed to usually it's right side to right side. Obviously with this fabric, you can't really tell. So we're going to go in at 1/2 centimeter, which is almost that inside groove in the machine. Otherwise, use your ruler to measure it. All right, put the foot down, stitch a little bit forward, and back, and go. Okay, so now you have a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance. Then we're gonna, I'm just gonna cut these threads. Then we're gonna press that open. So open your fabric like this. Open the seam allowance and just press that open. And then you're gonna press it shut again. And then we're gonna take this and just trim it almost halfway down, just to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm just gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna trim so almost half of that seam allowance off, but not too close to the edge. Okay, and then you're gonna open this up and we wanna fold it to the other side. So I had it like this, and now I'm gonna fold it to the other side so that the seam is on the top. and just fold it like that all the way. And now we're going to stitch at another 1/2 centimeter. And so we have that seam allowance is completely encased inside. So align this edge, again 1/2 centimeter, and we're going to go forward like that. And just make sure that the seam is on top the whole way through. Okay, so that's your French seam. This is on the inside of the garment, and that's the outside. So this is used for more delicate fabrics like silk, even linen, things that are see-through where you don't want to have something that's showing inside like overlocking. This is a really good finish to use for that. It's a very strong seam because it's 2 rows of stitching. So the next seam we're going to do is a felled seam. So the felled seam is used for denim pants, for cotton drill fabrics, for more sturdier fabrics basically. So this fabric has 2 different seam allowances, which you will usually account for before you actually start stitching. So for this seam allowance, you basically want one side to be double the other. So if this is my seam allowance on the bigger side, it's going to be here on the smaller side. Okay, so I'm just going to start stitching right here so that it's almost equal to that one. So you're going to do 1 row. Okay, and then you're going to open, again, press open here, press it shut, and then you want to bring the bigger piece of fabric, fold it over the small piece, so you're going to kind of sandwich it, press that shut as well, and then you're going to take that whole thing and fold it again one more time. So this thing over here, turn it to the other side. Okay, and then we're going to take this under the machine and you want to stitch right on the edge. So we're going to do an edge stitch here. And so an edge stitch, I want you to bring your needle down so that you can see that it's on the very edge of the fabric. Right there. Almost 1 millimeter from the edge, and then bring your foot down and just keep aligning these. Try to pull the fabric apart while you're stitching so that you don't get any excess fabric folding underneath the seam. And just do it slowly and keep it upside. So it should look like this on the outside and like this on the inside. So these are the seams that are used on denim trousers, denim jackets, sturdy fabrics. Okay, so the next seam we're going to do is a lapped seam. This one's a bit different than everything else we do because instead of trying to hide the seam allowance, we're actually going to show it. So this is the right side of the fabric, this is also the right side of the fabric, and this is your seam allowance. So we're going to leave 1 centimeter on this edge, 1 centimeter on this edge, and we're actually just going to overlap it. So it's going to look like that. Okay, so I'm going to overlap them around 2 centimeters so that it's 1 centimeter on each side, and I'm going to go and stitch right in the center of that. Just make sure it's also 2 centimeters on the bottom. Again, back tack. Okay, so it's gonna look like this. So this seam is used for leather, suede, types of wool that don't fray, but that's because the edge is just going to stay clean. Or you can choose to do this for aesthetic reasons and actually choose to fray the edge yourself. To fray the edge, you pick up the warp threads and you just pull them out. And you just keep pulling them out until you get the frayed edge that you want. And it will look like that. And you can fray it all the way up to the seam. Next, we're just going to use one single piece of fabric because we're going to do a hem. So for a hem, you're going to fold 1 centimeter, and then you can fold however much you want to fold. So for this, we're going to do a 4 centimeter fold. So first I'm going to fold 1 centimeter and measure that with a ruler, and then just fold it along. And then I'm going to fold it another 4 centimeters. And just fold that along all the way. So your 1 centimeter is encased inside the fold. And this is the inside of your fabric. And then we're going to go and stitch right on the edge here. So again, bring your needle down just to make sure that it's on the very edge. So we want to bring it about 1 millimeter from the edge of the fold. And then put your foot down. Go slowly and just stitch right on the edge of that. So it should look something like this. This is the inside, and this is the outside. And then you can iron this. Okay, so the next one we're gonna do is a rolled hem edge, which is what you would use on delicate fabrics like silk, but you would also use it on shirts, like the bottom of a shirt, especially if it's a curved, rounded edge. So for this, it's quite fiddly. We're gonna just cut that a little bit more straight. And then you want to fold 2 folds, and they're both going to be 1/2 centimeter. So it's very small, and you can use your pins to help. So I'm going to fold like that. And again. And I'm just going to pin that into place. Okay, and then again, we're going to start from here, and we're going to try and stitch 1 millimeter from the edge. So bring your needle. And place it 1 millimeter from that edge. Put the foot down. There's no need to back tack here. Just remove your pins before you reach. And then this is what it would look like on the inside. And that's what it would look like on the outside. Okay, so going back to our plain open seam, I'm now going to show you a method of finishing the edges of the seams in a clean way, which is called a binding. So we're going to take a piece of fabric like this. So this is the edge, the straight edge of the fabric, this is the cross, and this is the bias. So we want to cut a 3 centimeter piece from the bias of the fabric. So I've already prepared a piece to use. Okay, and then I'm going to take another square of fabric here, and I'm gonna stitch this on. So to do this, you're gonna take your piece of fabric, your bias, and just align them together. And you want to stitch at 1/2 centimeter. So again, either measure it or line it up with just the center of that groove on your machine. Next, you're gonna open this up again and press that open. And then press it shut again towards the bias. Okay, and then you're gonna take the bias piece, fold it so that the raw edge of this is facing the raw edge of the fabric. And they're just going to be facing each other like such. And then take the folded edge and line it up right on top of that seam right there. So we're just going to go like this, and it will look like that. So you want to just cover the stitch. You don't want to be behind it. You want to cover it completely, but also not all the way over it. So just there so that you cover the stitch. And then you can use your pins to stabilize it. Okay, so we're going to place the needle just at 1 millimeter from the edge and put your foot down. Okay. Just take this one really slowly and make sure that you're not showing the stitch underneath. So again, it's the raw edge to the raw edge and fold over. Okay, so it would look like this on either side. This is the side that you've just stitched, and this is the back side. So you want to make sure that you're actually catching inside of the seam allowance. After you've done this, you can do this on both sides of your fabric and then stitch at 1.5 centimeters to get an open seam. Okay, the last thing that we're going to do today is a double French fold, which is a really nice way to finish neck holes or armholes on dresses or blouses or even men's shirts that don't have a collar. So again, you're going to cut another piece of bias 3 centimeters long. This time you're going to fold it in half, like such. And then you're going to align that with the edge of your fabric. And we're going to do 1 row of stitching here at 0.5 centimeters. So the reason that we're doing a bias seam here is because it's stretchy and it will go around curves really easily. So I've just cut a curve here to imitate a neckline. that off. Just gonna cut all that excess. So this is what it should look like at this stage. Now we're gonna take this and fold it all the way back to the other side. And now you want that seam to be right at the top. So you're gonna keep folding it until the seam is on the top, and you can pin that into place. So I'm just gonna go and pin that. Just keep folding it. Okay, so this is now your inside. So we're gonna go and again stitch at 1 millimeter from that folded edge. So place it under your machine, put the needle down. So now once you're done with that, this is what it's gonna look like on the inside of the garment. And this is what it looks like on the outside. You can then iron this to flatten it nicely. And that's that. So that was the basics of sewing class. I hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. Feel free to stop and start the video as many times as you need to practice. Happy sewing and thanks for watching.